Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll give you 3 tips on how to strengthen the lower back into those weird block positions. So, as you can see, we're doing blocks below the knees, and probably for me personally, it's took about maybe a year to 6 months to get everything perfectly situated in terms of my starting position. So, that's obviously very important because without a consistent starting position, how can you really understand the importance of locking in those lower lats when you're really just unstabilized and out of position to start? So the first thing I do, and it sounds pretty elementary, right, is to get that consistent start position. So the way the programs is set out is we start at the low blocks and then kind of work our way down to the starting position on the floor. So when I first started, it was really difficult to understand the concept of keeping my lats back and down. And my coach had me do a lot of bent over rows in the snatch grip, and to do that for like a 3-second count. So if you were doing that during your second pull, then you would really understand that concept of pulling those lats and activating those lats. So sometimes when I have difficult days controlling that, I would warm up and do that along with snatch presses in the hole in the bottom position. And at sidebar for that, this was a 3 rep max, I believe, from the hang, and that's something when you're extremely fatigued is extremely important to keep those lats back and down, because if you're loose, then that happens. So that was too bad. That would have been a 5 kilo PR. So back to the concept of lats back and down. So when you understand and feel that starting position, you can do a more consistent catch that's upright. So as you can see, all of these catches right here are very upright. The bar is not going away from me, and I'm just standing up nice and easy. So the second tip is going to be hangs, and more hangs and block work. So nothing beats practice, and you can do all the accessory movements in the world, but if you can't tie together in the movement, then it's pointless, right? You'll just have some really nice looking lats, and that's about it. So the thing is, for me, starting out, hangs were extremely difficult because I would do the typical throw my shoulders back, contact very aggressive with the hips, and the bar would swing out, around, and crash on me, right? You see that, I would say that's one of the most common things you see people do when they start off, because that seems pretty natural. They're like, oh, I'm gonna deadlift this and clean it, you know? But once you get that movement down and that bar path vertical, keeping everything close with your lats, then that's something that's gonna look very clean, and then the weight is gonna start moving pretty quick. As you see me transition to snatch pulls plus a snatch, we start putting this into the program about, I would say, 3 months ago, and they haven't got easier, but they have gotten better. And what I mean by that is when I tie them two together, you see how I kind of take a step forward, that my lats are already pretty fatigued. You know, this is around 85-82% of my 1 rep max, so I'm pushing, and you know, I'm missing occasionally, which is obviously very frustrating, as you can tell. But that's something where it's good. You got to learn from these misses, and you got to make sure that you tie in a couple of makes like that with it. And I'm not mad about that, honestly. But you know, just doing that variation is very humbling, because it really dials in if you're doing the movement consistently, right? So if you can do a snatch pull and then immediately go into a snatch, that first lift should be mimicked within your snatch. Pretty simple, right? You know, 1 + 1 is 2. So, you know, it's simple, but obviously when you're doing those dynamic movements, it's extremely hard. But once you're able to tie those together at I would say at 70-75% pretty consistently, then you'll start seeing some consistency in your regular snatches. And moving on to the third tip with cleans is to clean more, squat more, rinse, repeat. And the thing is, for me, what I always try to do, just look at my upper back there. Do you see it flexing down at all? Is there any softness at the bottom position? Although if this is towards the end of my workout, there's not much, to be honest. There's a slight hinge forward where that's something I obviously have to work on. But at 140 kilos, that is pretty good. I am happy about that a lot, because if I had video from 3 years ago or so, it was pretty gnarly. It was definitely gnarly. And under the watchful eye of my coach, made it look pretty decent there. All the squats we do, sidebar, is at the end of the workout, and that's something where you really got to focus on keeping everything upright. So these are one of the heavier days, and I was nailing them. I was feeling really good, very dynamic, snapped, took a little step forward, and I think that was rep 5. But overall, just smooth. This is 92 kilos, man. This is almost like 90%. And that's something where those days, those good consistent days of putting that bar path, creating those habits and keeping those lats tight, pays off when I go heavy. And for the cleans especially, because that's something where in the catch, you want to make sure those lats aren't fatigued, or else you start shooting back, where, as you saw that one, the hips are going back a little bit. But my squats, during this whole time have been pretty consistent. I have gone stronger, thankfully, and those positions have gone way better. So these heavier cleans have been a lot easier, more dynamic, and I've been very happy with my progress so far, to be completely honest. Who wouldn't be? Coming from something that my cleans used to look pretty grindy. It may have looked good to other people, but to my coach, it was just like, man, it's really hard to watch your heavier lifts, man, because it's not pretty. You want to make them look effortless and pretty. That means you're doing it correctly. So, the third tip again is you just need to dial in those really good quality reps, and that's something where it's missed on a lot of people. People think, if they make the lift, that's enough, right? And it never is, to be honest. If you really want to be good, if you really want to compete at a high level, or even just have fun, because making lifts is fun. Making heavy lifts is fun, and if you want to do that, you have to be consistent. There's weeks where I don't miss a lift at all, or I should say months, actually. There's months where I go without missing a lift, and I feel good. And then there's weeks like this where towards the end of the week, I am burnt. Everything is just falling apart, and it's very frustrating. And it ruins part of my day, to be completely honest. I was supposed to go for a 3-rep max here, but that's something that wasn't in the cards. And for context, I didn't lift. I was supposed to deload the previous week, and I didn't because my body was wrecked for whatever reason. I want to blame it on the time change, so that would be on Halloween, because I was just feeling lethargic. I was just feeling tight, and I was getting pretty consistent sleep, but it just wasn't working for whatever reason. But hey, listen to my body, took a week off, and just try to do the best I could this day. And I went a couple kilos below an old 3-rep max long time ago, and I just called it good, because sometimes the most efficient way is to not train and to rest and to listen to your body, because if you force it too many times, you might get lucky. You might have a great day, but what's the point, to be honest, if you can push back that day or reschedule that heavy day. So going into this week, we're going to max out, and that should be fun. Things are changing around California, so we're going to see what environment I'm going to lift in. But until then, guys, have fun, stay safe out there. I'll see you next time.